We're joined by Ellis from Blackburn. You know the rest. How you doing, lad?
Yeah, good mate. Yourself?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right.
Good, good.
Let's get stuck straight in then. Butterbean's calling John Fury out and then wanting Tyson Fury. What do you think to that?
Mate, how old's Butterbean these days? He's got to be.
He's about 62, isn't he now, I think?
Yeah, you don't want to be seeing anyone over 50 in the ring, really, do you? But I still think he'd get the better of John Fury, to be fair. But no, it's just part of the circus, that, and he's probably thinking of his retirement. But no, we don't need to be seeing that, do we, Russ?
No, he's 59, actually, Butterbean on 3rd of August.
Yeah, no, it was entertaining whilst he was around, wasn't he? But he was never a serious contender at heavyweight, even in his prime. So we don't need to be seeing him having a heart attack in his late 50s, do we? Really? So
No, no.
no,
But
no,
big John Fury there pushing for a fight for himself. He won't leave it alone, will he? Big fighting man that don't fight.
no one's ever seen him fight, have they? Apart from the clips that surfaced from your channel where he got knocked out in a few rounds. He's not really been seen for all this fighting talk, and he's a traveller warrior. I can't think of anyone who's actually seen any footage of him. So it's all a bit mythical, isn't it? John Fury's fighting career.
I saw him fight Neil Malpaz live, and I had a DVD of it, and I gave John the actual copy of it, and obviously some years later I went back to the same guy to get another copy, and he said John told him that he can't sell any more of it.
That
But when me and
bad
Mickey,
was it?
it was that bad, yeah. He were an area title belt. He lost on points, but me and Mickey Theo managed to get that copy of him getting knocked out from Eric Guy, the late Eric Guy. So he had a copy, and
Mm.
so we did get, and it weren't a points loss. It were two knockout losses. So we were over at moon really, but still couldn't poke him with a stick and get him to take that fight we make. I mean, to be honest, I think a pair of them didn't really want it. They just wanted to be known as fighting men. Because nobody's
Yeah.
seen Mick have a fight, have they? Or John, to be honest, have they really bare knuckle?
No, no, I think it was just all for the exposure, wasn't it? A lot of
Yeah,
talking, and it
a
gets
lot of
boring, doesn't it?
talking. A lot of talking going on, but no fighting. Uh, could you see that happening? I mean, in current state of play, I mean, what's going on here with boxing at the moment? What what
Uh,
what's happening with these fights? Jake Paul against Butterbean, uh, Tyson Fury against Butterbean, and John Mike Tyson. This is what Butterbean is. Butterbean's wish list is in national papers, so there's something going on, isn't there?
Yeah, you'd have to say, to answer your question, could it happen? You'd have to say it could, couldn't it? Because
Yeah.
anything could happen at the minute. But if you're asking, is it something that whets my appetite? No, I don't watch any gimmick stuff. That as gimmicky as I'll go is probably AJ and Ngannou. That's as gimmicky as I'm willing to go. Or Floyd versus McGregor or something like that. But all this Hatton coming out of retirement and you know whatever Butterbean and stuff like that. It's I mean, there must be a market for it, but it's not in my house. Put it that way.
What do you think to Ricky Hatton coming back and he'll be 47, a couple of months into his 48th year in December? Do you think it's for money or fame or what do you think, Ellis?
I don't. Yeah, I'd have to say it's more than likely for money. I don't know what his finances are like, but I'm sure he's doing all right, isn't he? But the only reason can be money, or maybe just that itch that he wants to scratch. Of he had that comeback with Senchenko and got knocked out, didn't he? And maybe he wants to end on a win, no matter what kind of win it is. It's probably just an 8 rounder or something, isn't it? But he might just want to end on a winning a win for his record. But yeah, again, it's not something that I'm going to be tuning in for or going to have any real interest in, mate. So yeah,
Yeah, I see where you're coming from with that. It's a bit pony, in it, really.
yeah.
Uh, him coming back. I mean, there's shouldn't we really be concentrating on this current crop? Because there ain't really that many stars coming through, do you think?
Yeah, I don't know why that is, mate. It's we've had a good boom of we've had the Canelo and AJ was a star. No matter what we say, he was big for British boxing, weren't he? He was part of pop culture. You know what I mean? But like Ricky Hatton was, weren't he? Really? But I don't know. I don't know whether people don't have the character or stick a mic in front of them, and a lot of them can't really talk these days, can they? I mean, even I like Moses of Town, where he's supposed to be the next hope, isn't he? But stick a mic in front of him, he's not really super engaging, is he? So
No.
I don't know. You don't know where your next superstars are coming from, to be honest with you.
Mm.
And I just find the Americans obnoxious and cringy. I don't, it's all like they're trying to take a leaf out of Mayweather's book, and but they don't have the skills to back it up. All these Devin Haney's and Ryan Garcias and
Adrian Broner wanted to be
yeah,
Mayweather, and now it's Shaka Stevenson and Dave
yeah, yeah,
and all that, and they're not, are they?
rinse and repeat in it.
Yeah, they're not. They're nowhere near Mayweather's level, are they?
No, no.
No. Speaking of Mayweather, what do you think to his beef with Roy Jones at the moment?
Yeah, I've seen that. It's gaining a bit of traction, isn't it?
Well, they're looking
I
to
don't know.
fight, aren't they now in an exhibition?
Oh, I don't want to see that. Listen, that as a boxing fan, I think they were both fantastic at their primes. They were both brilliant, and I don't have anything bad to say about their careers other than the fact that, yeah, you could argue there was a little bit of tactical matchmaking and stuff like that on both behalves. But I don't know. It seems to be every interview Roy Jones is having a dig at Mayweather, and I don't know why. They're both well retired and they both had stellar careers, so it's a bit sad to see. And I don't know whether they're doing it to try and land one of these silly exhibitions or whatever, but that remains to be seen, doesn't it?
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see what happens, won't it, moving forwards? But
Mm.
Roy Jones, really, against Mayweather in an exhibition, is this where we're at?
The thing is, as well, like, I'd be leaning towards Mayweather, even though he's not the same size as him. I just think Roy Jones is completely finished. He's completely finished. Whereas Mayweather, say what you want about him, he's always in fantastic shape. He still spars kids these days and
Mm,
gives them boxing lessons, doesn't he? So I don't know where they're going with that angle, but yeah, no, we don't need to see that.
okay. Jughead's boasting on Talksport that he started it all off with that Joe Weller, KSI, and then in London, and then Jake Paul at Manchester, and that. If that ain't a case of double dipping, I don't know what is, because it's not something that you should be bragging about, is it? When you're going on about safety is paramount, and he's an ex-injured fighter, and yet he's been involved in promotions for these YouTuber events, and he's bigging it up on Talksport, saying they're good for sport and that. And when it all started 5 years ago, I remember him and Super Bean. They were running around like headless chickens. Eddie Hills, the rest of them, Hills. These people are going to filter into boxing. Well, these YouTube fans have not filtered into boxing, and small hall shows have died a death because of it. What do you think to that statement?
Yeah, that was a narrative that were getting pushed at the time, weren't it? That it's your Jake Pauls and that they're good for boxing because it's going to get a new audience into boxing and potentially wanting to pick up a pair of gloves themselves. But I don't think that's like you say, we're half a decade on now into this where YouTubers came in, and where's the talent coming through, and where's the
Fans.
new fans going to hardcore boxing shows? You know what I mean? It seems that they just have an alliance to some YouTuber that they're a fanboy of, Jake Paul, whatever, KSI, one of these gamers on YouTube, and they show out for them, don't they? And it's all a
Yeah.
big pantomime act, isn't it? So, but I don't know enough about that side of it because I like watching good fights, and I can't. Okay, I might see the odd clip on YouTube that I can't avoid because it's going viral or something like that. But it's not proper boxing, is it? And it's not. I don't get my juices flowing. Put it that way.
Yeah. I'm a bit disappointed with Juggies because everybody knows that him and his mate that Jake Wood on EastEnders. They filled the pockets with them shows because they got Sky involved and all that, so they did all right. But the damage they have caused, the sport is unbelievable now. He can't have it both ways, him. It's a bit like him going into bat for his mate, Daddy Don Charles. Oh, Daniel Dubois is going to knock Usyk out this time. He's a different animal. On the strength of what? A win over Miller, Ergovic, and Joshua. That means he's going to go beat Usyk up, and he lost every round last time. But then when Usyk dismantles him, he comes out and goes, oh, it's an all-time great, and this and that. Where was the same energy when he were picking Dubois to actually absolutely poleaxe Usyk? And these are supposed to be experts, but every now and then they have to go into bat for the mates, don't they?
Yeah, that's it. It's to say they're experts, they're all ex-boxers, and I mean, you've got people like Simon Jordan who's nothing to do with boxing, but suddenly he's considered some sort of expert with his two pennies. But it's all pushing a narrative that keeps them all friends, isn't it? And like you say, you've made a good point that these people, they have to bump into them on a Monday, so they can't really be going in on them on the Saturday saying, he's not landed a glove on Usyk, he's not won a round, and he's not going to win a round this time because he's a quitter. That ain't the sort of language they can come out with, because he's probably got to go and see Don Charles at some point, hasn't he? So they push the narrative that keeps everyone friends, and then they'll just say, he lost to the better man, and he went out on his shield, and all that sort of that cliche stuff that we've heard a million times. But yeah, it's all about keeping friends in it, and not burning bridges, because they're in the media at the end of the day, and that's what pays the bills. They can't be burning bridges with fighters and trainers and camps, can they?
Why should Deontay Wilder, according to Juggies, retire? Because he's 40 this year and he's lost, what, 4 times or something? Derek Chisora's lost 13, 14 times and he's 42 this year coming up. And it's all right for Derek to fight on, but Wilder's got to retire. There's no end to the bias for people giving punditry advice from people from the gym, Finchley Gym, where he's from, Juggies, and Derek Wars Chisora, aka Scooby Dooby Doo.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the career of Chisora has been something to behold, hasn't it? He's had a lot of losses, and he just keeps coming back and coming back because there's this narrative built up. Okay, in his heyday, he was a fan favorite, yeah, and he was exciting, but he's beyond finished in my opinion. He's gone down about 5 levels since his prime, and like you say, because he's got pals on the radio and on these chat shows and stuff like that. They're still pushing this narrative that he's a fan favorite and people would buy tickets. And there's even the mention of him having a Usyk second fight and stuff like that. And it's like the real fans don't want to see that. We just want to see him go off into the sunset. Now we wanted him to go into the sunset about 5 fights ago, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Derek Chisora has been finished since Caballel done him in Monaco years ago.
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
at the time, Eddie Hills, Bricktop as well, and even Tyson Fury was staggering around at that show, and he was coming out with stuff like, I think Derek's done now, but yeah, Fury went on to fight him again, have it in a trilogy.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that fight. I remember thinking Caballel wasn't any world beater back then, but he's really come on leaps and bounds, hasn't he? So
That were
it's
8 years ago. 8 years ago, and since then he's gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. He's had 14 fights since then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Going 7-7.
yeah, yeah. It's not
And he's still been, and he's probably earned, I bet he's earned about 8-10 million since then. Easily.
yeah,
So obviously they keep wheeling him out, don't they? War Chisora. He's now looking like he has been in a few wars, actually. I know he can't pronounce it in his speech. You go like that, isn't he? He's the right mess.
he probably can't spell war, can he?
Well, Dave Allen can't. That's why he's got it tattooed on his chest so he remembers it.
Yeah.
But now Chisora, he's just going to keep wheeling him out. These promoters don't care for him. They don't care for him. Do you know
No,
what I
not
mean?
at
I mean,
all.
another thing I wanted to ask you, Ellie. Somebody said in comment section that Dubois against Usyk was sold on the strength of him knocking AJ out and being accused of hitting Usyk low. Do you agree with that in first fight?
Yeah, yeah, I would. I'd agree wholeheartedly, to be honest with you. I think had he not had that AJ win, I don't think there'd have been much pull for the second Usyk fight. But it's that old age-old boxing triangles. Well, Usyk didn't stop AJ, but Dubois did. So he's
Yeah.
somehow potentially better than him. Even though we know that boxing triangles don't work that way, do they?
No.
Um, I think Usyk probably could have stopped AJ, to be honest with you. But the AJ that Usyk got in with that first time was, oh, would you say a prime AJ? It was at the top of his pomp, weren't he? That was a better AJ than what
Yeah. Yeah.
the Boar got in with. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then obviously that low blow thing got sold to death, didn't it? Even though, and it conned the public. It sort of pulled the wool over the public's eyes because the general Mr. Public ain't going to go back and watch that fight. It weren't really that exciting, was it? He schooled him and stopped him on a jab. So they're just going to listen to it was a low blow, it was a low blow. Reality is, he barely landed a glove on him the whole fight and was stopped pretty pathetically, weren't he? So
Mm.
if you watch that with your own eyes, you'd be like, "Head, I don't warrant a rematch." But he got it in the end, didn't he? And it was no different, really. It was even easier, really, for
Even
Usyk,
easier
weren't it?
for him, wasn't it? If
Yeah.
anything, he took all the data from the first fight, and he didn't really do anything wrong at first fight anyway. It's just that the Bricktop with his minions, all these little YouTube merry men, they made that much noise about the low blow that I think it maybe played on Usyk's pride a little bit. And if he were getting questioned on social media, and I thought Usyk thought, you know what, this was an easy one. I've just beat him every round. It was a low blow. So, and of course, I'm going to take a break if you're low. He only took 3.5 minutes, not five, as Big Top kept saying. But the point I want to make is he's just had another easy payday and just bashed him up even worse, hasn't
Yeah, I agree. I feel like he's sort of known as a non-puncher, isn't he? And he's heralded for his boxing skills and his prowess in the ring. But let's not be silly about it. He's obviously got enough power to do damage. He's a big fella, isn't he?
he?
And I
Yeah.
think for this fight, he thought, I don't like the way that George Fox has been gobbing off at me. I don't like the way that Don's been going off at me, and I don't like the way that Dubois has been gobbing off as well. So I'm going to stick it on him and try and get him out of there. And all he did was put a bit more meat on his shots, and it was all she wrote, weren't it?
Yeah.
So yeah. I think that's there's a line under the sand in the sand with that Dubois debacle in it. It's well and truly finished. There ain't going to be no trilogy, is there?
Now, what do you think? What do you think to it and how it's all unfolded now? And they've made a big thing about this party thing, but they never made it about before the Joshua fight. But this house party that he's supposed to have had, do you think that's a bit of a smokescreen to take away from the fact that he quit yet again and for the third time?
Yeah, a pathetic story that's come out. I mean, let's be honest. Make no mistake. That's not what a fighter should be doing. Hours before the biggest fight of their life, and I think it's shameful. With the interviews, what Don's had to come out with his tail between his legs, saying like, you know. They arrived 2 hours before, and that's absolutely fine. Like it didn't sound like a man that was in charge of the camp, which is what a head trainer should be. And there's no way you can spin it to me that you can sell that as the right thing to do. Having a party, whether it was a party or whether it was a gathering of friends or family or whatever it is, it's not the right headspace to be in a fight. You're nervous. You got nervous energy. You think you need to be switched on and thinking about doing damage to your opponent in a few hours' time, not listening to songs and people wanting to get selfies with you. It's just not a good look, is it? And to me, it's a look of someone's not got control of that camp, and I don't know who it is, but yeah, not a good look at all. But yeah, it's just an excuse. Even if he stayed in the dark room and meditated the whole time before the fight, it wouldn't have made a difference, would it? Let's be honest. But
Well, listen,
yeah,
Mark Tibbs were asked to train him, and he were on trial at Tibbs's gym, Dubois. But the father were there all the time, and after they did the last session, they decided that it weren't they weren't willing to work with Dubois, so that obviously the old man were involved all the time, wasn't he? So they walked away. So they're not about money, are they, Tibbsers, right? I'm not going into bat for Mark Tibbs because I get on with him. I'm just saying that they didn't brass themselves off. I'm not saying Don's a brass, but in boxing circles, most matchmakers and people in industry will say that Don Charles, not so much a brass, but he's kind of like just happy to be there kind of thing. He just wants the work. Do you know what I mean? Because he knows what it's like to have notes, I guess, and be on the fringes as a trainer because he's put his time in. But I
yeah,
think a lot of the responsibility's got to be with the head coach because he's putting his name to Dubois. Now, these parties, when they were happening, whether it's before Joshua fight or this one, whichever one, he should have been walking or reading the riot act out, not coming out saying it were a gathering because he's just doing that to cover the old man's tracks, isn't he?
yeah, yeah. I think historically, and even now, like head boxing trainers, that they're known as being staunch characters, and like you say, their reputation's on the line. And in order to get your fighter in the best nick possible, you need to have that. You need to know how to take the reins, no matter how big the character is, or um, you know what dads or family members, outside influences they've got. You need to rein it in and take charge because it's ultimately your say goals, and it just gives the vibe that that wasn't the case, and someone else was pulling the strings. More than likely, the dad by the looks of things, but. Yeah, it looks like you say, maybe Don Charles hasn't had his flowers in his day, and he's thinking, well, it's a cash grab for me, and this is my retirement pot. So yeah, I'll just nod my head and get along with it. But it's no way to go about an undisputed heavyweight title shot, is it?
No, it ain't. And like I've said earlier, the trainer has got to be what we're doing here. I mean, he's come out and said that the bar rung him and wanted to train on the Monday or something. And he went, yeah, let's train or something on Monday. But if he's got that sort of relationship, why couldn't you just ring him up and say, what's going on here? Where are you? You've got to be checking on because when you've got meddlers like dads in boxing are a nightmare 99% at the time. Right? They think they know better. Liam Cameron's dad, Alan Cameron, he thought he knew better. He kept putting spoken with Liam and look what happened there. Cocaine and switching trainers, not turning up for training and all that. Dad's getting involved in boxing. I can go on forever about dads in boxing. That some of them they'll have 8, 9 managers for the lad because they know best. Leave it to the experts. That's what I say.
Yeah, it's true. It's true of any sport in life, isn't it? You get your pushy mums and dads in football, in probably in cricket, tennis, whatever,
Yeah.
and it's always they've got the blinkers on because their son's the best ever. Um, but sometimes there's expertise and there's people who are experts for a reason. You can't just be a top coach, no matter how, you can be a dad and take someone on the pads, but then it comes to the point where you have to let them spread the wings and go under the tutelage of someone who really knows what they're talking about, who can push them to the next level. But I imagine it's hard to let go of that if you're a dad, and it's not a position I've been in, so I can't really comment on it. But it's irritating to see, isn't it, when you think they're not letting go and letting them be their own man kind of thing, and that's the vibe you get with Daniel Dubois and his dad, isn't it?
Yeah, impression I get is that his dad's an old. Well, he must be doing something right because Caroline's a world champion, and he's obviously they got him a world title belt. But for me, I thought that belt were by default, and really, Usyk shouldn't be 2-time undisputed at heavyweight. All he did was loan a belt out and come back for it like a year later, didn't he, or something? Since he loaned that belt out.
Yeah, honestly, Russ, I hated it when he got that. Obviously, these are things that happen in the sport. You do get belts by email and stuff, but when he got that belt, everyone on Talksport was saying he's a well-deserved world champion. It was when after he beat AJ and stuff like that. he's a well-deserved world champion. He's a bona fide world champion. And even Carl Froch on his channel was like, right, he's a bona fide world champion now. It's like,
Well, he's
that,
having
hang
a
on.
late game for Ox now, and he weren't saying that when he first got the belt, were he? Dubois, he was saying no, totally different.
Yeah, it's like he's not a bona fide world champion. He's the real man beat him, and he's only got one of his belt on loan. You know what I mean? It's a weird one, but yeah, they all got to push the story, aren't they? And
Hmm.
keep a Brit in the mix, don't they? That's what Dubois was the last British hope, weren't he? Yeah, that's we're done for now, aren't we?
What did you make of the fight altogether, with Usyk? What did you think of it from round one to the actual finish?
I thought Usyk was doing what he always does, but with a little bit more venom this time.
More
Do you
venom,
know what I
a
mean?
bit more spite, wasn't there?
Yeah, yeah, you could definitely see a bit more. I wouldn't even say urgency because he doesn't ever look like when you see someone rushing the work, they're not crisp with it and they're not precise. Are they? We've seen that before where emotion gets the better of you, but he was just putting a bit more zip on the end of his shots for me, like he wanted to hurt him, and he had a bit more output and. I don't think he was there for the 12 rounder, Usyk, was he this time? I think he actually was in there to do damage, and it was clinical. And it's a weird one. He's that much better than all these heavyweights that it's dare I say it's a bit boring now. I watch a Usyk fight now, and you kind of know the journey you're going to get taken on. He's going to do the feints, he's going to circle around, he's going to bamboozle them and either stop them or easily outpoint them. It's just like it's at the point where you kind of think, is there anyone to even challenge him? Do you know what I mean? But that's just credit to how good he is. To be fair, as a boxer,
He's doing an average of 120 feints around.
yeah, they can't deal with it, can they?
Now they can't deal with footwork, and this is where footwork is very, very, very important. And our lot are straight 1-2 plodders, aren't we? Whereas he's every time he's hit a shot, he's in a different position where waiting for a counter, and they've then got to reset the feet, haven't they? As you know, because you're ex-boxer, and it's becoming embarrassing. I think that's why Terry lost his head, didn't he? In that Terry's take, last week, he went berserk, didn't he?
Yeah, that was a good listen. That yeah, there were a few far-fetched takes. I must admit, I can't remember what he was saying, but there were a few things he said that I didn't.
Where he lost his ragger because he'd had a drink.
Yeah, there were a few things I didn't agree on, but it's been that long I can't remember what he was saying. But there were some that I definitely did agree on. That's why they're always a good listen with Terry, aren't they? You might not agree with everything he's saying, but they're always he speaks with passion, doesn't he? That guy. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Well, he will do when he's putting his time in as a trainer at Fitzroy Lodge with kids, and they don't get paid. He just does it because he loves sport. And when this guy here is ran through Joyce, Chisora, Bellew, and Dubois, Joshua Fury, 2 times each, so that's 9 wins, right? Altogether, he's got 13 wins over world champions in only 24 fights. Now, this
yeah,
guy's not having like loads of fights like Marvin Hagler and and other people like that, and not meeting that. Hagler 60 odd fights. I mean, he beat 7 champions. Usyk had 24 fights, beat 13. And next up, Parker, that'll be 14.
yeah.
The guy's Superman.
I think that's what it was. I've just remembered that's what it was that I didn't agree with Terry. It was. I couldn't help but feel like he was diminishing Usyk. He was sort of saying that he wouldn't hang in. I think it was either 60s or 70s, and I was just sat there thinking, mate, Usyk would literally hang in any era.
Any,
Any put him in any era, mate. I could give him an argument for beating any of them, Muhammad Ali included. He is that good. I'm not sitting here saying like he would 100% beat him. There'd be challenging fights out there for him, but this guy is that good, and he would hang in any era, and I won't hear anything else. Do you know
well,
what I
he's
mean?
6'3", isn't it? It's not. People keep saying, "Oh, he's a small man. He's a middleweight." He's a 6'3" former middleweight.
Yeah,
Shiraz is 6'3", and he's a super middle now. So that's how good Usyk is. He's a former 165-pound middleweight at amateur, and he's 6'3". So he's beating guys half a foot taller than him and 3-4 stone heavier. Not like Crawford coming up one weight, £7 or something, £6 or £8, whatever it is. This guy's doing it at 40 and £50 heavier than him. and beating them up.
Yeah. And you got to remember as well, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, there wasn't these big creatures like Tyson Fury and AJ. They weren't these 18, 19 stone huge bodybuilder men, were they? They were more like Usyk, weren't they?
Yeah.
Ali was more like a Usyk kind of build. So
Foreman, same height and same weight.
yeah, so you never saw them fighting people with
And
that
he
much
was
of a
called Big
disadvantage.
George, wasn't he? So we'd have to call him Big Alexander then, wouldn't we?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, George was considered the giant of the day, weren't he? So
Yeah, well, he's like an
yeah.
Usyk type now, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah. It's mad to think that, isn't it? But
You want to go on to
yeah, no,
part two?
Usyk hangs in any era, and he's definitely a top five heavyweight
Yeah,
pound for pound for
yeah,
me.
yeah. He's up there, isn't he? Okay. Do you want to go on to part two, lad?
Yeah, can do, mate. Can do.
See you on part two. Thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. Don't forget to check the pinned link by me in the comment section and check out the website. All right. Human nutrients. That's where it's at. Pop, pop, bang.